May 20th, which means if you've been watching this channel, you know that today is my full review of The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson. Welcome back today, everybody. I know I've said a million times and at least twice in each video that I've put out this month that I am doing another Litfuse blog tour. And today is my full review of The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson. This book was sent to me by the publishers through Litfuse for a free and honest review. I have recently just done a full overview video of Melanie Dickerson, all of her books, and what I like about her books. Melanie Dickerson has become one of my favorite authors this year, and as well an auto-buy author. If she writes it and publishes it, I buy it. So an auto-buy author for sure. I just skip the library. They just automatically go on my shelf. So I was really thrilled to see this was on the Litfuse blog tour requests, and instantly requested it, of course, and I am very excited to be a part of this blog tour. This is the second book in the medieval fairy tale romance series, or the Thornbeck series as it is also known. It features one of the characters that you met in The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, the Margrave of Thornbeck, who was a side character. Now what I like about Melanie's books is even though this is a sequel, there's actually not going to be a lot of spoilers for the first book, because she continues on side characters who had a smaller role in the previous book. You also still meet the previous two protagonists from The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, who I'm not going to go into too much about what their role is in this book, because it might give some spoilers for that previous book. So we're not going to talk about those two, but they were side characters in this book, so they weren't a major role anyway. The Margrave of Thornbeck needs to find a wife, and he needs to do so quickly. He has 2 weeks in which to find a noble bride. He invites 10 ladies to his house for 10 weeks and puts them through a series of tests to kind of test and reveal their true character. Evelina has 2 objectives: don't get caught and don't get picked by the Margrave. Evelina is sent by Lord Primwald to replace his daughter, Lord Dorothea, who is unable to attend the little gathering. But despite Evelina's best attempts to draw and distract the Margrave's attention away from her, she cannot deny her own growing feelings as well. However, something more sinister lies afoot in the castle that has far more deadlier consequences than being caught as a maidservant disguised as a lady. Now on to the review. I love Beauty and the Beast retellings. Now, Melanie Dickerson has already done a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and that was The Merchant's Daughter, which is the second book in the Hagenheim series. But even though she's already done one, and you've already seen the Beauty and the Beast tropes, these were still pretty strong original stories. So The Merchant's Daughter had its strong original story, and The Beautiful Pretender has that Princess and the Pea element that is also woven into that storyline, so it still had its clear and original story. So the premise of the book still stayed strong, it stayed original, and the tropes weren't overdone or overkilled at all. And to be honest, with medieval romances and fairy tale retellings, it's really hard to kill tropes for me, so keep them coming. Now, the world building, it's not a world building book, it's not a super hyped fantasy book, and even though it's a fairy tale retelling, they are set to very realistic settings. So with Melanie Dickerson's fairy tale retellings, they are real world settings, fairy tale historical settings. So you're not going to have fairy godmothers and magic pumpkins and magic roses and whatnot. So you're not going to have those magical elements, but you still have all of the fairy tale elements that are needed. And since it's not a world building book, you still got that world built from the first book, The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, and you're still in Thornbeck. You're just in the more elite part of it than you were in the first book. Now for characters, both Evelina and Reinhardt, who is the Margrave of Thornbeck, were very well written characters. Evelina had strong opinions, had her own different opinions from being a peasant, and when she's thrown into this world of being a lady, she has the kind of, what would Lady Dorothea do? What would Lady Dorothea do? And Lady Dorothea was kind of a brat. So she couldn't in her own consciousness and her own convictions, overhaul herself to do something that she didn't morally agree with and be that brat that she knew a lady, or she thought a noble lady, was. So without that background of someone who's lived in luxury all her life, she had a completely different perspective of some of the things that the other ladies didn't. But she also stayed true to her own character and true to her integrity while trying to hold this persona of being an elegant lady of noble birth, which she obviously was not. Now, she wasn't the perfect character. She did have some weaknesses and shortcomings, but she had really good character development and growth at the same time, and learned some really valuable lessons and learned about really staying true to herself. But she also kind of grew into this understanding that you are truly the daughter of a king, even though you were born as a peasant. So kind of that understanding of loving yourself and realizing your worth in who you are. Now for Reinhardt, you have that typical beast character. He was physically disabled, he was bitter, he was angry, he had people saying very nasty things about him, and he kind of let that get him down, and he was just rough around the edges, and he treated people poorly, he treated peasants very poorly, and so Evelina was kind of scared of him if he ever found out that she was a peasant. What I like about beast characters is that that is actually their character, so it's not like they're actually sweet and tender on the inside and you have to draw that out, but it's that realization that something needs to change, that you need to change your character. And that's another strong faith element that was kind of woven in with these characters. So Evelina has that understanding that she is a daughter of a king, she is a princess no matter what her position in life is, and Reinhardt gets this understanding of changing his heart and really allowing that change to go through all of his character and from the inside out. So those faith elements were really inconspicuously laying in there, that if you actually didn't have that understanding of that sort of a faith theme, you wouldn't have caught them. So that was really well done, and you really start to see those in those characters. There was also some great side characters. There was the two main characters from the first book, the Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, that were now side characters in this book, and it was great to see them back and in their new roles. But there was also Magdalene, who was one of the ladies brought for the testing, and I liked that they didn't make all of the ladies brats. Magdalene was another woman of character, and she was just adorable and loved Evelina for every part of who she is. Evelina was so overwhelmed by the friendship and love that Magdalene so freely gave her that it was just a beautiful friendship, and I really appreciated Magdalene's character as well. She was a good, strong character. She was sweet. She had the right ideals, and I'm hoping to see more of her. So I'm gunning for Magdalene to get her own happily ever after, because I really adored this character and I would love to see more of her. So it was a really strong character developed storyline. So you had great friendships, you had selfless friendships, and then you had that slow burn love romantic relationship. And like with most Beauty and the Beast retellings, they need that time. Now these are only over a span of 2 weeks, so it's not a whole lot of time, but it wasn't insta-lovey. There was definitely like that initial attraction, but there was also that growth and those instances that kind of brought out other sides of these characters that kind of developed that romantic relationship. So it was still very slow burn, realistic, very well done in the romance department, and like I said, very selfless friendships. So the relationships overall were really well done. And it wasn't just the buildup of the romance, there was always a darker and more dangerous plot in the background of one of Melanie's books, so you had that as well thrown in there, and that was implemented really well. And there was a really good build up to the mystery of this one. Now with the Huntress of Thornbeck Forest, I was really disappointed because the mystery element and the endangerment element of that one wrapped up really well and really conveniently, and I think I missed the part where the information got relayed from one character to another. I felt like that was missing. But in this one, this kind of endangerment and mystery theme wrapped up really well and satisfyingly, and not so conveniently. It was just wrapped up really well. Now the reason behind Evelina replacing Lady Dorothea, first it seemed so overly dramatic and really fast, and it just happened like right away. You're like, that was really dramatic, like just okay. I mean, it was almost comical because I didn't expect it, and I was just like, wow, okay, that escalated quickly. But let's move on to the main story then. But she implemented it and wrapped it up in the story really well. So it was kind of in your face, kind of, whoa, what just happened? But then she wrapped it up really well. So you're like, oh, I get it. Thank you. There were very few things. I mean, that over dramatic beginning was kind of like, okay. But there wasn't a lot of negative aspects that I can even pull from this book. I mean, there could be a few moments where you like, the story could have moved a little bit smoother. And even some things that kind of seem out of place and ridiculous, like Lady Dorothea, had its purpose for being in there. So nothing was in there without having its purpose of being in there. I really enjoyed it. I absolutely loved the characters, everything about it. It had all of the right tropes and the happily ever after that everybody needs at the end. So it wrapped up very well. And I'm looking forward to the third book. Out of her two Beauty and the Beast retellings, The Beautiful Pretender, I loved more than The Merchant's Daughter. Now, I still love The Merchant's Daughter, but I liked this one more. In fact, with the characters of Reinhardt and Evelina, I'd have to say this is one of, if not like my top 3 favorite Melanie Dickerson books. I just absolutely loved it. There is cringeworthy, swoon-worthy excitement. There is everything you want in a good book in there. So this is definitely like my top 3 if I had to pick. This is like my top 3-ish or top Melanie Dickerson books. So if you have not picked up The Beautiful Pretender yet, you could win a copy. There's a link below in the description to the Beautiful Pretender giveaway that is put on by Litfuse, so you guys can check that out. I will leave all the information and links for everything down below. I'm really looking forward to see what Melanie has coming. There is the third book, The Noble Servant, that has yet to be released and even yet to be put on Goodreads, but as soon as that is up, I'll leave a link down here for you guys to check that out. But The Noble Servant will be the third book in this series, and she also has her last book in the Hagenheim fairy tale retellings, The Silent Songbird, coming out. I will leave the pre-order link for that below so you guys can go pre-order that book and go buy the rest of them. So go pre-order The Silent Songbird and add that to your Goodreads. So thank you guys so much for joining me for my full-length review of The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson. Please leave any comments. I'd love to chat with you guys. Love to chat with you guys in the comment section. So leave any questions and comments you want to chat about down there, and I would love to chat with you guys. Also, another way to chat with me is I have a Q&A video coming up. So if you have not done so already, check out the announcement video and leave a question for me in the comments of that video. It is my 1-year anniversary booktube Q&A, so I'd love to get to know you guys through that. I'm so excited to see that you guys have been watching my videos. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.